In our last video, we made more progress on our horizontal navigation bar. We created some new pages, the HTML page and the CSS page, and we edited our anchor tags in each page in order to navigate throughout our website. In this video, we will be looking at ways that we can lay out web pages quickly and easily with CSS Flexbox. But first, we're going to briefly take a look at tables. Tables were used in the past to help achieve the layout of a web page, but with major improvements being made in CSS, this is not the recommended method of modern day web development. Tables still have their purpose in modern web development, just not for laying out web pages. We'll navigate to the HTML page, as tables probably correspond best with HTML rather than CSS. And under the description list, demonstration, I'll add a new H2 element, and the content will be table. We can create a table by using the table element with an opening and closing tag. In order to create a row within our table, we use the tr element, again opening and closing tags. And within a table row, we can specify the table head. I'm going to create the opening and closing th tags. And within this, I'll set one head as month, and I'll set another table head element with the content of date, and save. Back in our browser, I'll refresh whilst in the HTML page.html. And now we have two table heads, one with month and one with date. These are within a table row. Table row specified here and nested within other two table heads. Under our first table row, we'll create another table row. And then we are going to use the table data element, which is specified by TD. The first table data element will correspond with the month and the second with the date. So I'll just type January and the date of (10/1/2014), and I'll save. Refresh. So now we have two rows within our table. The headers being displayed in row 1 and our data corresponding with each of our heads in row 2. We can add as many table rows as we want. I'm just going to copy this, paste this, I'll type February. Specify that and save. And now we have 2 rows of table data, with our first row being table headers. HTML tables allow you to display data such as images, text, and links in columns and rows of cells. You can specify CSS styles in order to structure the layout of your website, but as that is not the method that is used in web development today, I'm not going to bother with formatting these too much, but just know that if you do require tables within your web applications, then tables are available to you. Now we will be moving into the concept of Flexbox in CSS. I'm going to create a new page in order to give a demonstration on how Flexbox works, because we will be laying out pages in the future with Flexbox, so it probably deserves its own section. We'll go back to the code, and in views we'll create a new file, flex page.html. I'm going to go to our previously created HTML page, hit Control A to select everything, Control C, and then I'll just paste in flex page. We'll update the title, flex. The style sheet is directed correctly. We'll change the content of the H1 element. Here I'm going to quickly copy any list item with the anchor tags within it, and we'll change this to point to our newly created page, flex page.html. We'll update the other 3 pages with the new link in a moment. We don't need any of this content, so from ordered list right down to our table, I'll just select all that and delete. I'm going to save the flex page, then I'll copy this link, firstly I'll go to HTML page.html. Within our menu container __ list, I'm just going to add our new list item with the anchor tag within. Save this page, close it. In CSS page, I'll do the same. And in index.html, I'll do another paste, but we have to also navigate from within this directory to go to views first, and then find the flexpage.html and save this. We'll go back to our browser. I'll hit refresh. Now within the HTML page, we've got our new link. I'm going to go to the index.html, hit flex, and we're in our flex page. HTML to flex, CSS to flex. So that appears to be working correctly. Now, before the Flexbox layout module, there were 4 layout modes. Block, which we've covered in the past for sections in a web page. Inline for text, which we have also covered. Tables, which we just covered for 2-dimensional table data. And positions for explicit position of an element, which we haven't covered yet, but we will in the future. The flexible box layout module makes it easier to design flexible, responsive layouts and structures without using floats or positioning. Floats being a type of positioned element, which again we'll cover in the future. Back into our flexpage.html. Under the menu container div, we'll create some more markup. We're going to create a number of divs. First, we'll nest the others within our main div, which we can give a class name. We'll call this flex container. And nested within flex container, I'll add 3 divs. For each of these divs, I'll give a class name of flex container __ div, and just copy this and paste it in our other divs. I'll save this, not much is going to happen. Refresh. Now we've got the divs with content inside displaying. We have our flex container div and then the 3 nested divs. Flex containers are reliant on defining they are the type of display flex within CSS. So we'll go to our styles.css page, which is linked in our flex page. And we'll begin right under the current CSS definitions we've created. We're going to target first flex container. So full stop to indicate that it's a class, and then flex container. Now, if we define the flex container as the display type of flex, all the nested elements within our new flex defined display will act accordingly. I'll also set the background color of our flex container to Dodger blue. Now, as we've defined flex container to be the type of flex, you'll notice that if we hover over it, the highlights are looking slightly different from when we've used it before, such as within the container class. It's just a basic highlight, but this has a bit of additional styling to it. Also, by default, a flex container will align our nested elements in a row. We'll go back to our code. And as we've defined the class names for each of our nested divs, we can just reference that. I'm going to set a margin for each of these with 10 pixels. Also padding of 20. And a font size of 30. Again, in our elements display, if you notice the diagonal dotted lines running through our flex container div, that is the space of our flex container. Nested within, we have our flex container divs. You can see we have padding, we don't have a border, and we have margin along with the content. I'll also set a background color for each one of our nested divs. I'm going to leave this instance of flex container for now. I'll go back to our flexpage.html, copy this. I'll update the name of flex container to flex col container for column. I'll target our newly created class name, and this will have the same stylings as the flex container class name. I'll save the styles.css flexpage.html, refresh. I'll add a break element here just to give it a bit of space between the two flex containers. Now what I want to do is, rather than having our nested divs displayed in a row, I want them displayed in a column, which is simply a matter of, after defining a div as a display type of flex, we can then specify the flex direction of column, column reverse, row, or row reverse. So I'll just select column, save, refresh, and now we are displaying all of our nested divs within a column rather than a row. As you can see, each nested div is pushing up 100% minus the margins. By now, hopefully you can see why this is a powerful way of being able to structure and lay out your web pages, as each nested div can hold pretty much any element you wish.